Hey guys, so I know this is not a typical video. I couldn't get Dr. Straight Edge in here, but I do want to cover Pythagorean theorem. I'm out today, unfortunately. I have a meeting to go to, so I will not be here. I'm in the building, so you probably have seen me. But I know this has not been ideal to learn something new, not having seen me all week. So I'm going to try to go through a couple of these problems right now. Okay, I'm going to go through them as slow as possible. I'm going to go through them with some detail. And hopefully this sets the tone for you guys to be able to do these. I know they're difficult, I know they're hard, but I really want you to kind of put the effort toward just like trying them. Tomorrow, or excuse me, Friday, I'll be back in class and we'll go through these. We won't have a quiz this Friday. Okay, so follow along with me. Here we go. Okay. Let's take a look at number 6. This is more typical of a problem you're gonna see. So the first thing we need to do, step 1, is to label your leg, and hypotenuse. And leg is going to be A, the other leg is going to be B, doesn't matter which is which, and your hypotenuse is going to be C, always. It's always going to be C. That's also on your notes that you have. Okay, so let's take a look. The first thing I'm going to do is to find your leg and your leg. It's actually just the two sides that make up that 90-degree angle. So we can see right here a 90-degree angle, and we see that it's this side and this side meet that 90-degree angle, yes? So let's label this one A and this one B. And if you switched them, doesn't matter. If this was B and this was A. Those two don't really matter. Your last one, though, is going to be your hypotenuse. And your hypotenuse is going to really matter, and that's going to be your C. So the hypotenuse, two ways you can find it. It's always, obviously, the last one you didn't include. But the way we find it is we say it's across from the 90-degree angle. So it kind of looks like the 90-degree angle is like an arrow, and it's pointing at that. It's always going to be that way. Look at this one right here. Number 5. See that 90-degree angle is pointing to the hypotenuse. So this is your hypotenuse. Now right now you don't have to label it, but you just want to call it C. You don't have to put hypotenuse, just put C. That's fine. Now, step 2 is going to say the Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus B squared plus C, equals C squared. So what we do is we just plug in these different numbers, these values, in for these things. So let's plug them in. Plug in numbers. I know this is a real exciting video. So my A is going to be x squared. My B is going to be, so it's plus, my B is going to be 16.8 squared. And my C is going to be 17.1 squared. Okay, now I've got all those squared. Now I've got them written out like that. Now what I need to do is actually square those numbers. So that's on your calculator. There's a couple different ways you can do it. For all these purposes, all you're going to need is this squared button right here. Just this x to the second. Okay? So that's any number that I do, any number that I square, I would just say this. So if I wanted to say 4 squared, which is 4 times 4. We can't see that. Hold on. If I wanted to say 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, which is 16, what I would say is I'd say 4, and then I would hit this x to the second button. And so that's showing me squared, and then I hit equals. That gives me 16. Okay? So right now, all I'm doing is plugging in these numbers that I have. X squared, we can't do anything with, so I'm just going to leave that right now. Now the next one is 16.8, right? Squared. So I'm just going to hit that x to the 2. So that means that number is going to be squared. So 16.8 times 16.8. And I get 282.24. Let me try to write that right here. 282.24. And the x squared, I'm just going to call it x right now. X plus 282 equals, and then I have to square this number. So 17.1, and again, I'm going to hit that x squared to square that number. and I get 292.41. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, what happened there? 292.41. Okay, I know this seems complicated, right? But now what I'm doing is I'm just solving for x. That's a 2. I'm just solving for x. So if this was like x plus 3 equals 5, you know what you'd do. You'd subtract 3 from each side and you get x equals 2, right? We're going to do the exact same thing here. So minus 282.24. Yeah. Minus 282.24. Okay. And then I get x equals, so I got to subtract that out. My brain's not activated right now. Okay, 292.41 minus 282.24 equals 10.17. See that? Great. So x equals 10.17. Now here's the tricky part. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. So tricky alert. I wish I could put some cool graphics on the screen. What happened is we squared these numbers. So we not doubled them, we times them by themselves, right? So we have like an inaccurate number. What we need to do now is we need to unsquare them. So kind of the opposite. How we multiply something, the opposite is division. If we square something, the opposite is called the square root. And that's just undoing what we did, okay? So now what I need to do is do the square root. I know it seems intimidating. Trust me, it's going to be fine. You're going to be experts. The square root of 10.17. So what we're doing there is we're saying what two numbers times themselves get 10.17. But we're just reversing it, okay? So I'm going to do this. See this x squared that we've been using? Well, right above it there is the square root. Let me see if I can zoom in on my fancy camera here. It's just my phone. Okay, this square root right here. Don't worry about this one. This is a second that's more complicated. We're not using that. Using this x squared, we're using that blue square root. So in order to do that, what we need to do is hit this second button. Hold on, let me see how I can show you. Okay, great. So if I hit the second button right here, let's say like the blue function, right? So the blue function, and then hit that x squared. So it's saying now the square root of 10.17. You can close parentheses, doesn't matter. Okay? Now I'm finding the square root. Now, that number, we're just going to reduce it down. We're just going to take the first 2 decimal places. So that number is 3.18. So right now, I'm going to put right here is my answer, which is right here. Don't worry about rounding it up. Don't round it down. Don't do anything. Just take the whole number and then take the next 2 decimal places. So right now, what I want to say is that x equals 3.18. This was supposed to be x squared equals 10.17. I'm trying to watch the camera and write. That's not easy. This is our final answer. Now, all we did right here, if you just look at it, there's 2 real difficult parts to this. Numero uno is labeling the sides, because you have to get those right in order to set this up the right way. Numero dos, 2, is doing the square root. And that's not hard to do. I think it just intimidates people. And they think that they can't do it because of this. So that is exactly how to solve this problem right here, right? I labeled my sides A and B, and that's where this 90-degree angle is. That's my A and that's my B. And then my C is the one that's across from the 90-degree angle. That's my C right there. Then all I did is I know my Pythagorean theorem, which you don't have to memorize. I'll give you access to that. And then I plugged in my numbers, I squared them, solved for x, and then I just did the square root. So this part, the plugging in, the squaring, the solving for x, you do that all the time. It's just this part, the labeling, and this part, the square root, that's the tough parts. Okay, give this a shot on any of the other problems. They're gonna work the exact same way. Like I said, in this one, this would be your A, this would be your B. You could switch these two, doesn't matter. And this would be your C. That's the hypotenuse. That's pointing to the hypotenuse. Okay? Go get them.